Hey guys, welcome to the No Sleep Club.
Welcome.
This is Year 13's inaugural podcast. We're all very excited. My name is Blake. I am a product designer at Year 13 and I'm here with my co-worker and good mate, Hamish.
Howdy, how you going? She didn't give me the title introduction, but I'm a product manager here as well. Blake and I, we've been here
together.
We've been here 6 years together, and now I get to work closer than ever, which has been bloody awesome. So
it's been terrible, but that's okay. And also behind the camera and microphone, we also have our two very talented producers, Tom and Matt. Big claps for those guys.
Yep.
Welcome to our new podcast. We're very excited.
Yeah, a little bit nervous, if I'm honest with you.
Yes, Hamish and I are not by any means professional podcasters.
God no.
But we're good at talking shit, so we're just going to do that and see how it goes.
Definitely. So I think what we'll do, Blake, we'll kick it off with a bit of Year 13, the journey from our founders, and then we can start to talk about ourselves a little bit. Yeah. So Year 13, when was it? 2012? Yeah. 8 years now. We've been online. Geordie, Sax, and Will, they all had very different experiences when finishing school. Will, he was very much loved the surf lifestyle, loved the idea of doing a carpentry apprenticeship, being able to finish off at 3 and, piss off to the surf. And
doesn't.
Yeah, I don't blame him. He loved that idea, and he was actually, quite academic at school, and his parents kind of sold him into an engineering degree, and he wasn't necessarily aware of what what university would ask of him. It was very different to his expectations. Sax, he, was, lack of a better term, a black sheep at school, in the sense that he didn't get along with some of the teachers. He was very sporty, but he wasn't really sure what he wanted to do at school. And truth be told, he was disengaged, and it wasn't until he went traveling and saw all these creatives, writers, photographers, videographers, where he started to sit back and be like, oh, hold on a minute, that was never, ever, ever explored when he was at school. And then Geordie was, almost the exact opposite. He was very academic at school, got into university, but then struggled to actually find that employment, and then was working late at night. That affected his studies. He then ended up dropping out of university. So Will is the only founder with a university degree in engineering, which he'll never use. But they were finishing school, kind of going through their own transitions, and one of their friends was pushed and pulled in different directions, and unfortunately took their life. And that's when it really sparked a fire in the boys' belly, and acknowledged that this demographic, 18 to 25-year-olds, there's serious hole in the market in terms of that support network. So they put their heads together. Originally, we're just publishers writing cool content.
A lot of articles, a lot of blog posts, that kind of thing.
That's it. Why everyone should consider a gap year, why you should stop hating on tradies, looking at alternative study options, going down pathways and private colleges. And, they quite quickly they caught it caught wind. Yeah, it was the social media at the time. Facebook was very, very generous, and I
think it also just goes to show that there was such a need for it as well. Yeah. Like everyone was searching for answers and searching for more advice in the post-school space. So
yeah, definitely. And even when I was still at school, and Year 13 was quite early, so I finished 2014. And Year 13 was still in its early days. Sorry, I haven't mentioned it yet. Geordie and Sax are my two older brothers, so I did have some exposure to it while I was at school. But even then, a lot of people at school didn't necessarily have that support network. The company was still so young at that stage. Like, we were still on WordPress, which we were up until probably about 2 years ago. But the Facebook algorithm was quite generous, and they kind of took off like wildfire. And it wasn't until people actually started coming to us being like, oh, cool, I read that article about a gap year, can you help me get into a gap year or get me a job, apprenticeship, or into university. And that's where the services that really started to pop up. And now, we've got incredible connection to so many different pathways, whether that's travel providers, employment, both, entry level up to professional apprenticeships onto the education, private colleges,
TAFEs, universities, everything that you could want to do after school, we've got it essentially.
Even the short courses as well. And it's really, really awesome. Look, truth be told, it's been an interesting experience, because I think if you think about a lot of other companies, just in general, that they're so focused on sort of one product or one service, whereas Year 13's been so broad that trying to facilitate all those different services has been difficult at times.
It's not always easy, but that's exactly what we're trying to achieve, is just make sure that we have all the options for everyone who's coming out of high school. We obviously all have different needs and we all have different passions, and we just want to make sure that we're catering for literally everybody who's leaving high school, whether that's in year 12 or before, whether you're leaving in year 10. That's why we do what we do every day. It's a big mission of Year 13 is to ensure that everyone's leaving high school pursuing something that they're genuinely passionate about, and they are pursuing a career that's going to fulfill them later in life. And that's really what we're doing. We're just making sure that all you guys end up somewhere that you're genuinely happy and
definitely.
healthy.
And I think a massive one that, when I was at school, I definitely didn't have, but since working here and, the research that we do ourselves, it's becoming more and more clear how important, having a plan is, whether that is just, when I finish school, I'm going to go work at Macca's, I'm going to save up money so I can buy a new car. Whatever it is, you've got a plan. Like there's goals set, and you just take it one step at a time. Whether that is go traveling, get a part-time job, go traveling, and then come back and think about your education. It's a scary thing, especially, being 17, 18, studying the syllabus for 13 years. You
going out in the real world.
No
idea what to expect.
It's tough to put that expectation on school leavers that they're meant to know what they're wanting to do. So if there's any advice I can give you guys, just take it one step at a time. Don't feel any pressure. It's you got the rest of your life to make that decision. Now, Blake,
speaking of plans,
I've been lucky enough to spend the last 6 years with you.
Yeah.
Now,
very lucky man.
Incredibly lucky, but I guess I've never. I know you went to Manly Selective and you got a high ATAR. I know all that. It is a running joke in here. But I guess I want to actually know, like, dig a bit deeper into like what was your potentially your youth, like growing up into into high school, and then where we are now.
Yeah, for sure. For me, high school was, I enjoyed high school for the sake of the fact that I really loved to learn. I really grew up with the advice from my dad saying that knowledge was power, and everything that we learnt was sort of arming us for a future, being able to.
It's amazing you say that, because my mum has always said the same thing. And I'll touch on that a little bit later. But she has always said, education, you can have the nicest cars, you can have the nicest house, the newest phones, but education is that one thing that they can never take away from you. That someone can never take away from you. So, but I won't. We can touch on that a little bit later.
So I was really geared up to have a good education. I got tutoring in primary school to make sure that I would get into a selective high school, an academically selective high school.
What was your subject of choice?
My subject of choice.
I mean, what were you best at? Yeah, like what were you best at?
English, I always really liked, which is definitely why I ended up sort of following the path that I did, which is journalism and writing. But yeah, I got into this selective high school, and so studying and learning was a massive part of what I was doing when I was in high school. I was a massive nerd, if you can't tell. So for me, that was my sort of youth, to the point where maybe I didn't do some of the fun teenage stuff that I should have been doing, which I know Hamish and I definitely differ on.
We had very, very, very different experiences.
Hamish got into a bit of trouble.
We can touch on that in a minute.
But I was very studious. Got a very high mark at the end of year 12. And
was it what you were wanting? or expecting?
It was higher than I expected, which was great, which meant I sort of could get into any uni that I that I had on my preference list. And as I said, I really wanted to do journalism. I was set. I knew I liked writing. I knew I liked English. I thought journalism would be the best place for me to express my creative freedom.
Sorry to jump in, but had you had any sort of experience in journalism?
Not to that point, other than like, doing assignments at school. Like I liked writing reports. I liked doing creative stories. The creative side was definitely more appealing to me than the sort of news side. I wasn't a particularly like current affairs-y type.
I could see you on Channel 9, get the presenter voice on.
I do the presenter. I mean,
here we are.
So one thing I'm very, very glad that I did when I left high school was take a gap year. I was pretty burnt out. Yes. Yeah. I spent 7 months earning money because I had no money. Literally just worked full time in a cafe. And
what is the cafe called?
They make fun of me for the name of the cafe. The cafe was called Baker Caker Coffee Maker. And when I picked up the phone, I used to have to answer Baker Caker Coffee Maker Blake speaking, which is a mouthful. Got very good at it, although sometimes totally messed it up. Blake, okay, blah, blah, hello, who's this? Anyway, so yeah, spent 7 months just earning cash, putting in the bank, saving up as much as I could, just scraped together enough to go to Europe for 4 months with my friends. When I say just scraped enough together, I came back with $10 in my bank account. So I lived pretty skint when I was in Europe, but it's all
a part of the experience.
Exactly.
No one goes over to Europe with too much cash.
No, not when you're 18.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Now, I guess, would you recommend? Obviously, you said taking a gap year. Europe, it can be quite expensive, to travel. Would you say, if you're going to do, say 3 months in Europe, that, 18 years of age, 19 years of age is the right time to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% recommend 18, 19-year-olds taking a gap year. Like, I think whatever you do, you don't have to do traveling. You can totally stay in Australia and do something.
Well, there are those cool, Jackaroo programs.
Yeah, exactly. There's heaps of programs. We have a bunch on the website if you want to check them out. Sorry, small plug.
Soft plug.
Plug there, guys. Right. There's some amazing programs and experiences you can do around Australia or nearby. If you're unsure about what to do in your gap year, like there's plenty of tours and things that'll bring a bunch of you together, like volunteering.
And I think while we're on the topic of gap years, traditionally it's always been thought that, you go to do that Europe, you go spend 6 months or, 3 to 6 months over in Europe. But what's becoming more and more clear that even just taking a year and, working, getting your physical and mental health, all of it just in check and just enjoying that time before you need to make a decision.
Dive back into it, yeah.
And just while we're on that, like one of my friends, he was going to do a business degree, I believe it was at Macquarie, deferred it, went to Europe. His old man's a photographer, like creative. And then when he came back, I think he may have done up until census and then was like, hold on a minute, like this just isn't for me. And now he's in marketing, I believe, on the creative development side of things, and he's loving it. And if he's actually said to me that if he hadn't taken that gap year, he would have spent those 3 years completing that degree that he didn't like.
Totally. That's exactly what it's for, I think. Like, more than traveling, going out and seeing new cultures and meeting new people is an amazing experience, and it's very, it promotes a lot of growth. But more than that, I think it's just taking the time to figure out what it is you really genuinely want, trying a bunch of different things, maybe like going into work and seeing what being a worker is actually like, because I feel like when you're in high school you don't necessarily take the time to work full time and like figure out what it is to.
So we're about to lead into you kind of getting into uni. Yes. Tell us a bit more about it. I know it probably wasn't the nicest experience for yourself.
Yeah, so was very excited when I came back from my gap year. I deferred my university course for a year in journalism, and was really keen to start at uni. Thought university was going to be like that ideal experience that's painted in movies.
Yeah.
You're going to meet a bunch of people and there's going to be an amazing campus and you'll all hang out together and there'll be societies and clubs and sport, and that's not, and that does happen at uni if you throw yourself into it in the way that I probably should have. But when I got to uni, I was really anxious about the whole experience. I just hated going in. I hated the course that I was doing. I realized that journalism was not nearly as creative as I had hoped.
Do you think that if you had maybe done a journalism, done work experience with a journalism that
I might have
journalist,
realized that. Yeah.
that you might have, it might have changed your university degree?
Totally. Even if I'd known more about what a course encompassed, I think even if I just understood what the curriculum was of the course that I was studying, I could have made a much more informed decision about what I was doing. So ended up at uni, did about 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I missed census, unfortunately, so I was still there after census date. But
did you get an internship at Year 13 during your journalism degree?
No.
Did you? That is, I'm going to take it up with the boys. They've always said that you started as an intern.
No.
Oh.
I was a paid writer, my friend. No. I started Year 13 after the end of this story is I dropped out of my university course. And having been to a selective school where all they talk about is university and what you're going to do at university and here's what a degree is going to look like, and literally they never mention anything other than degree, uni. There was never anything.
I think most school, like selective or not, I think majority of schools treat university entrances is almost like marketing material in the sense that look how good our school is, and look our students can hit these targets and get into university. But that's a very traditional mindset. And things are changing quite quickly in the modern day. But you started working here. What were you doing originally?
After dropping out of uni, just felt really lost. Because my school had drilled this into us that uni was the only option. I literally thought I was a failure. I struggled very hard when I dropped out of uni, just because it was like my whole identity was leading up to this point, and then it just suddenly came to an end, and it was like I didn't know who I was anymore.
Who's cutting onions in here? Damn.
No, it was a bad time. But I didn't want to wallow. I wanted to just keep plugging. So literally jumped on jobs websites and found the gig at Year 13, which was a writing job. So I just wanted to write fun articles about being young and post-school options and all that stuff that I was going through literally at the time. And that's what I got to do. I got to come here once a week, write a couple articles, and then I just slowly sort of worked my way up to doing more and more around the office, getting to know the boys a bit more. And that's how I ended up here.
And now you're in the product team with me.
And now I'm in the product team with Hamish.
Welcome.
And it's all very exciting because we've never actually worked super close together, but here we are.
Yeah. It's been a nice 6 weeks now you've been in here with us.
Yeah. No, it's still very new. I was on the marketing team up until this point, so
yeah. But you always let's not just call it marketing. I mean, you were always doing the decks. You were doing the creative development of things before we got the actual graphic designers, and now you've upskilled yourself and
I think it just goes to show that you can learn so much in the job. I never thought I would move from a marketing role to a tech role, a product is essentially website development. So while it's still very heavily design oriented, I just never thought I would be able to make such a significant career shift without having done study or a degree in that area. So I think it just goes to show that you can do so much just learning on the job.
Boss. Well, I guess my experience through school was very different. So Geordie and Sax are two of my older brothers. We've got 5 kids in total. And as I was saying before, mum and dad, they always kind of stressed that education was the one thing that they could never take away from us, and So obviously having 5 kids, it's not cheap. Putting 5 kids through private education at Barker College, it stretched the dollar thin, I guess you'd say. And I wore a lot of hand-me-downs. So shout out to the Foxes for giving me their old uniforms. But yeah, I think when I was finishing school, it was different in the sense that, I had older siblings that had been through the school. So in that sense, socially, I was quite comfortable. Academically, I did all right. Like when I applied myself, I could actually get good marks. It was just more when did I want to not be a smartass, which is very
all the time.
Rare. Yeah, I was gonna say
still all the time.
Yes, big time. So yeah, no, finishing school, but like, look, truth be told, I think everyone has those sort of insecurities at school, whether, you might feel overweight or you might not like your hairline like myself, or your teeth or, whatever it is. Like I definitely had that insecurity about money, especially being at a private school where a lot of the people around you are very, very well off. So it was just those sort of things that I guess I didn't necessarily struggled with, but it was definitely on the back of my mind, through high school.
Felt a little bit different, a little bit ostracized from everyone else.
Yeah, slightly. I mean, I got pretty good at making excuses why people couldn't come over because, when there's 7 people living in a house, it's hard to keep it clean. But yeah, when I was at school, I had a couple mates, probably got caught up in the wrong crowd when I was a little bit younger, year 9, 10, year 11. And obviously with my family, a lot of my family, including my granddad and his 3 brothers, went to Barker. They all played, in the first 15 at school. Sax, my older brother, he played first 15. Sam, he was
this
kind
is rugby
of
for all
rugby
those
union.
Who don't know.
Rugby
which
union,
I wouldn't
rugby
have known.
union. Sorry, I apologize. So a big motivator for me in towards the end of in year 11 into year 12 was training to get into the ones and play. Put the red jersey on and play against Knox, who are our rivals. I never got to play them at home. Got in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, we can move past that part. But I made stupid mistakes, and I think that was just me being a bit cocky, thinking that I was maybe untouchable, which I'm sure. So, every 17, 18-year-old while they're at high school, definitely
goes through that at one point.
I got told quite often by Mr. McCustra that we're not 7 foot tall and we're not bulletproof. So, I don't know. I felt like that was a bit of a challenge. And I think a lot of my mates as well started to push the boundaries. An example of that is during muck-up week. We were told that...
don't get any ideas from this one, guys.
Yeah. No, this isn't actually too bad. But, during muck-up week, all the boys in our group, there was I think it was about 40 or 50 of us, had decided that we were... Every year, there's always the year 12s. They run behind the swimming carnival assembly and everyone sees them. And then this year, because our cohort was a little bit naughty, they moved it to the assembly hall. Obviously myself and 2 other mates who'd been in trouble earlier in the year decided to sit this one out. Well, rather sit inside the assembly hall. And we took some fart bombs in and I think there was around someone had brought, I think, 700 crickets, live crickets.
Where from?
I don't know. I have no idea. He just rocked up with them. We were like, all right, this is cool. But what the hell? Anyway. So all the other boys are getting ready to run through. While we're doing the national anthem, I smash the fart bomb, chuck it under the seat in front of me, and I'm everyone's singing, and you applaud, and here I am thinking that I've gotten away with murder, and then all of a sudden, while one of the deans at the school is talking, it's dead silent. This fart bomb just goes off right at my feet, right at my feet after I'd kicked it and kicked it all the way. Obviously, people had kicked it back. Anyway. A couple of the boys, 3 boys broke ahead from the group when they were running in. And the moment those 3 came in, all the teachers locked the doors. All the boys, so all the boys were caught outside. But then those 3 boys run in and there was some swear words said when they realized that they were caught, that they couldn't get out. But they were all wearing masks and all that sort of crap. They finally get out and they run up the wall, run up to the stage and take the fire exit out, and then the deans at the school then sat there and did a roll call of every single boy, every single person in year 12, and whoever wasn't there that day got a letter to their or message to their parent. Oh, actually, they were going to get suspended, I believe. You should have seen how many parents had written a sick leave or sick excuse for their kid that day in about a 20-minute window. It was incredible.
Good on the parents.
It was incredible, but they still suspended about 30 people.
I think we all want to know what happened with the crickets.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry. When they ran in, we then just like opened the crickets and just like threw them everywhere, and so it was chaos. It was chaos. Sorry if you guys didn't hear that, but it was chaos in the chaos in there. So yeah, that was a great experience in my year 12.
Sounds great.
Tommy,
where to from there?
Did you need us to take a little break, Tommy? All right, let's take a break.
We're going to take a quick break, guys.
Beautiful.
We'll be back.
Oh, hi. My name is Tom. You're probably wondering why you're hearing me or seeing me right now. And let me tell you why. No, be quiet. Well, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Year 13, because nobody wanted to work with us. But that's okay. Because we want to let you guys know about our free post-school plan. So what's a post-school plan? That's a great question. A post-school plan may help you discover where you want to go in the future and more about yourself. You can compare from a whole bunch of different jobs and different industries to find out what's best for you. So figure out what you want to do with your life by completing your own personalized post-school plan. Back to you, Hamish and Blake.
Beautiful. That was a nice little drinks break.
Yeah. I'm refreshed. All right,
God.
Hamish, you were telling us about your horrific muck-up day story, but then also what happened in year 12? Where were you at? What were you feeling? What did you want to do?
Great question. I guess to dial it back a little bit, I guess from when I was, a young kid, always had a passion for, helping animals. Like I loved animals. Always felt like I've had a special bond with animals. In the sense that like I still remember to this day that we were with the neighbors and like there was this random dog or whatever, and I went up and I was just like patting it, and they were all like, "What the are you doing? Like you can't do that." And this dog was super chilled, a little Jack Russell, super chilled. And then like one of the other kids went to do it, and the dog bit him. What? And everyone was like, "Yeah," and everyone was like, "You were just
dog whisperer
right here. Yeah, you're just patting that dog." So. Like that was something that I always really enjoyed, and obviously, dogs especially, great companions. What did we ever do to deserve them? They're just, they're the best. So, I'd always kind of wanted to be a vet. As everyone kind of knows, you got to be quite intelligent. You got to be.
Or you've just got to find the right pathway to get there.
Yeah. But I mean, if I think to where I was in probably year 10 or 11, and, getting an ATI estimate of about 86, you need 99.96 something to get directly into it. And then you do your 7 years like a traditional doctor. But if you don't, then you've got to get, I can't remember what it was. I think it was about the 86 mark, but then you've got to do 3 years and then complete that, whatever it is, animal science, something in animal science, and then from there go into school, go into vet school. 10 years of extra study. Those 13 were long enough, all right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, they were long enough. So, I mean, it was quite jarring because year 13 was kind of being made, really, really early on stages of year 13, and I knew that I wanted to kind of get in there and help out there because when I heard the idea, I was like, this is going to be big, let's try ride this one, in a good sense.
Let's try and help as many people as we possibly
can.
Yeah,
no, definitely. Because actually I'll get to that. It's a really good point because I then started to, I definitely felt a little bit lost when I was finishing school. Like, yeah, okay, sick. I'm working with my brothers, like working at this cool company that they've just started, but it's not nice living in the shadows all the time. And I did definitely feel that like quite lost, and it was almost like, there was things that I would say and I'd be like, oh, this is an idea, but maybe because of my age or lack of experience poor vocabulary, that it didn't necessarily sit. And then, you know, I'd get quite frustrated when we'd end up doing what I said, you know, a couple of weeks later, and it'd work, and I'd be like,
I told you.
yeah. Yeah, so that's when I just started I started backing myself a little bit more in terms of my thoughts and that I'm not, just because I'm 18, 19, that I'm not necessarily stupid, or I shouldn't know the answers. And this is what I was actually going to say before when we were giving the intro into Tom and Matt. Like, boys are young. Like Tommy, especially you. How old are you? you look it. He's about 19.
Tom's 19.
19.
Matt,
how old are you?
22.
Yeah, you're handsome as hell, man. Yeah, you guys will see this. Tommy, yeah, you know, he's young, incredibly talented. All the video content that you'd see across, you know, Year 13 and our socials, you know, from these two legends.
It's amazing stuff.
And I was actually really taken back when Tom started, and I was like, holy shit, you're like 18.
He's still got braces.
Yeah, he does. He's cute. Yeah, train tracks. Sorry, I didn't mean to bully you, Tom. You know it's out of love. It's out of love.
We love each other.
But yeah, you know, like I didn't know what I wanted to do finishing school, and I guess I kind of jumped a little bit early into Year 13. But I was always like, I'd love to go traveling. I'd love to take a gap year. I've always wanted to do it. I guess what kind of held me back from that, and I can't blame Year 13 at all, it was probably my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, let's not get into that one today. We can save that for the relationships topic.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess I also think that there was also an element of what's the word? I was quite cocky, I guess, because I just finished high school. I've been playing in the first 15s. I was a lot bigger, a lot stronger. And when I say bigger, like muscly bigger back then. And I think there was an element of like cocky, like, look at me, I'm going into, you know, Year 13. So that I kind of,
I've got a job.
Yeah. Like I kind of, maybe counted my chickens before they hatched a little bit. But in saying that, I definitely do not regret coming here and working at Year 13. I have been, it's the experience, like the exposure, like to be 24 now, and to think about when I was 18, 19, 20, like some of the, like yourself included, like some of the work that we're doing. Like I still remember to this day, I went to a meeting with Westpac, and I think it was when we were doing Finley at the first round. I remember going to a meeting, and you know, because I helped with the development of that, and they're like, "Oh, so how old are you? What, 25?" And I was like, "No, I'm 22." And they were like, "You're 22," you know? And I think that just reiterates that your age should never, ever limit you. It
doesn't matter. As long as you're there and you're ready to put in the work and you're committed and you're dedicated to learning everything that you can, age does not matter one iota. Like,
not at all.
We have such talented people here at Year 13, and like most of them are under 25. Like,
majority,
Majority, yes. It's like, and just insane what you can do when you give young people the tools and like the time to just
and the
flourish.
mentoring though, and the mentoring. Like, we have been given a lot of support here,
for sure.
Both, you know, Will Saxon and Geordie through the years, but also as we started to expand sort of our networks as well. Like we definitely, you know, we've definitely matured as professionals. Even though we haven't been to uni, we're still professionals. I'll call myself that one at least. But you know, I think. I'm a big believer in you know, living, not living, but following the shadows of someone that you idolize, I guess, and you know, you look up to in a sense. And like, you know, my older brothers would definitely be that for me. Like, hell, they were 19 and 20 when they started Year 13. I think about myself at 19 and 20, I would, if the Year 13 wasn't here, I wouldn't I still don't know what I'd be doing, you know? So I look up to those sort of people, and I'm a big believer, like you live in the shadow until you feel capable enough to not take the spotlight, not necessarily take the spotlight, but that you're well equipped enough to be able to swim, you know, like you're not feeling like you're sinking, you know, in the big business world. So if there's anyone out there, you know, you really want an opportunity, you know what you want to do, you know what you're passionate about, I recommend getting in touch with someone like a mentor, literally shadowing them. Just
send someone an email. People don't realize how, not necessarily easy, but like sometimes people are really willing to help you out and just would love to mentor you. And
People love the hunger. They love the hunger, like young people who hustle. Like if you reached out to someone today, provided that you could get in contact with them, that you can actually get their contact details rather, they actually would be like, they'd want to really reach out and give you that time for free, because they're like, I remember when I was that age. I remember when I was hungry,
And someone gave me a chance, so I just want to do the same thing
Exactly.
for you. Like, just go for it. Go and hit up a bunch of people with emails who you admire and want to be like, and just see where it takes you. Like,
Definitely.
so worth it.
I can't remember who it was. I can't remember his name. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. But he said, like, it's pretty much the same sort of concept. Go message someone that you idolize, that you want to be like. Tell them that you'll work with them for free for 3 months, and then if after that, if they want to hire you as an employee, they'll do it, provided that you show them how hard how much you really want that opportunity. And I think a lot of that's sort of. Like loyalty, I think, is a big thing that's kind of forgotten about nowadays. Like I remember, when I was 14, 9 months, got my first job at the chicken store.
Nice.
And that was a big thing. And I remember Barry, who, definitely taught me a lot, throughout that sort of period of my life. He wasn't family, he wasn't friends, but he was still that older figure that I felt like I could talk to, and he definitely just said, like, loyalty is the one thing that an employer will respect. If you're working hard, you're showing up every day, that you're being loyal and you're not going behind their back looking for other jobs. Not that I am. That was a poorly timed smile. Shit. He always said loyalty was a big thing, and I think just touching on that work aspect, I am a massive believer that everyone should have a job while at high school. The value of money. I learned the value of money, like when you're earning $12 an hour, like, and you get given that $100, $200, whatever it is, as cash, like that's a lot of coin for a 15, 16-year-old, but you start to learn that value of money.
And value of hard work and being a committed employee as well. Like, it's all really important stuff. I actually didn't really have a job in high school. I did a bit of tutoring to get a bit of cash, but I didn't have a job in high school. And I do think it made me more, pushed me into that bubble of studying a bit too much. Like, it actually would have been really good to have a little break from, like, on top of being able to make a bit of money. Having that break from studying, having another world outside of just high school and those friends. Like, you meet a lot of people when you're working as well, like, particularly in hospitality or retail. Like, time. You have co-workers, you get to know a few new people. Like, it's all very it's all good stuff. It's
awesome. And I think about when I was especially in actually year 12, I think about, because obviously I was playing sport on the weekends as well as rugby training and working. And I remember year 12, like, I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, picking up Rowan, the bloke I used to work with, going to work till 12 o'clock, then going playing first 15 rugby union, like at 3 p.m. And like that for me felt so easy. And like I started to be like, hold on a minute, like studying's not too hard. Yeah. Like you study for a couple hours, like I can get up in the morning, I can train hard, I can work, I can play sport. You actually start to understand what you're really capable of, both physically and mentally. I'm a big believer in getting a job. I think I kind of had to get a job. As I said, 5 kids, money was stretched thin, so pocket money was not maybe a gold coin here and there. But that was definitely something that I think coming into year 13, you got to earn your stripes. That's another thing I'm a big believer on. Like, you got to earn your stripes, especially being a young person entering the employment, the workforce. Yeah, you're gonna be a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah, for a little while, you just got to do the hard yards.
Yeah,
work your way up. Don't think you're top shit straight away. Essentially,
God no. And that's the thing. Like, you really do need to earn your stripes, because if you do, you keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, you work hard. You will reap the benefits in the long run. Later. Like that will pay dividends. But if you're being a smart ass because you don't like the way your manager's doing something, and you want to try and talk up to them, they're going to end your employment there, and then you're back at the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it goes back to that loyalty. If you stick at it for an employer, finding a new employee costs a lot of money, and finding the right one is hard. So just because you're having a tough time at work, or you think that maybe you deserve more respect, or don't get me wrong, if there are situations where
yeah, for sure,
where you should stand up, but a lot of the time I think people get a bit of an ego, or think that things should be done differently when they're not in the place to maybe say that. And I think that's a massive one. So anyone who's starting the workforce, apprentices up to
That's
professionals, it's a slog.
Yeah.
It's a slog.
No, but it's great. And you'll start earning money before your peers, which is awesome. And you'll just be further along in your career than a lot of your mates. I know a lot of my mates now are only just finishing university, and I've been in a genuine career for 6 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and think about all the stuff that now, just all those skills. We were speaking about it earlier, like Excel, Photoshop, all those things that you would have never been taught at say university, but you've been in the job. The job has. I
mean, I'm still not great at Excel. You do a lot of my Excel for me.
Yeah.
Excel's tricky.
And I get Suresh to help me. So thank you, Ricky.
I think let's wrap it up. We've been going on a few tangents.
Yes.
Yes, essentially that's sort of how we got to where we are today. As Hamish said, neither of us got university degrees. We just started in the job and worked our way up. And really, if that's something that you're interested in doing, if university doesn't really seem like the thing for you, if you're really just keen to get stuck in and start working in the industry you're keen on, do it. There's no reason why you shouldn't. Just go out, find those mentors.
Definitely.
People.
And I guess we go on about it all the time in here. You got to follow what you're passionate about. You follow what you're passionate about, you will always work out how to make money off it. We work for a long time in this life. You need to make sure you're doing something that you love, otherwise it's going to feel even longer.
Yes. Definitely.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's us. For
that's
the podcast.
That's the first step. That's the first step of hopefully a very engaging and entertaining podcast. To all our users who are listening in, please give us your recommendations. Send us in people that you want us to talk to. We're going to go through, different themes each week and discuss it, get different experts on.
Different careers, different industries, different amazing influencers that you'd love to hear from. Just let us know, because we'd be keen to get them in and pick their brain about what their post-school journey was like and how they got to where they are today. It'd be really cool to get some of their stories.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you, Blake. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone else.
Thanks, Tom and Matt behind the cams.
Thank you, boys. Thank you for setting all this up. Looks bloody awesome.
Cheers, guys.
We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.